Good evening, everyone. This is the regular meeting of the Parks, Recreation, and Trails Commission, called to order at 6 o'clock on May 4th, 2023. Madam Secretary, will you please do roll call? Here.
Sorry, wasn't on. Vice Chair Faust,
Here.
Commissioner Bowen,
Here.
Commissioner Bangle,
Here.
Commissioner Payne.
Thank you. We have a quorum. Commissioner Faust, could you lead the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Yes, everyone, please rise. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 4, presentations. Mr. Nix, do we have any presentations?
No presentations tonight.
Okay. Item 5, approval of minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Chance to look at them?
I had one. There was a date in there that said that we would be reviewing the plan tomorrow on the 5th of May. Needs to be corrected.
Oh.
I motion to approve as amended.
We have a second? Any more discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes as amended, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right. Minutes are approved. Item number 6, agenda approval or modifications. Are there any modifications to the agenda?
No modifications.
All right, thank you. Item 7, public comments. Are there any public comments, not non-agenda items only?
No public comment.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 8, discussion items. 8.1, temporary deferment of conditions of approval for completion of Banner Village Park. Mr. Nix?
I'm going to hand this one over to Ms. Mitchell.
Thank you.
All right. Good evening, Commissioners. So the first item tonight, we're talking about the temporary deferment of conditions of approval for Banner Village Park. This may be the first time that you're seeing information about the actual development. I know we've talked about the park that's currently in progress. But this is a development located off of Lindenberger and Domenigoni on the east side, really close to the border of Menifee. Approximately 80.6 acres with 256 single-family homes. As you've seen in previous Parks, Recreation, and Trails Commission meetings, it's a 5-acre park with a splash pad that's currently under construction and is scheduled to be completed by July 1. Currently, the conditions of approval require that the park to be constructed by 204 occupancy permits. So what's being asked of us today from the developers is requesting some updates to the COAs so that they can allow issuance of 226 occupancy permits prior to the park completion, so they can keep getting Menifee families or families into these developments. And then in order to do that, they're also agreeing to add an 850-foot long, 5-foot high black fencing. It's similar to the fencing that was just recently put in at Lyle Marsh Park. And that's really a safety measure just because Lindenberger and Domenigoni are really busy roadways, and we just want to make sure our park users are safe and when they're enjoying this wonderful park amenity that's coming our way. In addition to that, there would be a $1 million cash deposit to be released upon park completion, and the park is scheduled to open as soon as it's completed, which means that it will be open during the 90-day maintenance period prior to the city formally accepting the park. So that's the basic information that was provided in the staff report. We do have the developer with us today if there's any additional questions, but we're essentially looking to see if the commission is amenable to allowing the additional occupancy permits and making that recommendation to Planning Commission, who will be seeing the same item on May 10th.
Do we have any comments from the commission?
I've read the report and staff, the staff report, and don't see any concerns there. It's still scheduled July 1st, I believe, is the target date for the park?
Yes, sir, at this point. There's some manufactured stuff that needs to come in. The supply chain stuff will wait for a restroom that's pre-constructed, so that could
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Would you like to go to the podium so everybody can hear you? Yeah, thank you.
And this is Darren Warren from Pulte Homes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. Yes, as I was saying, at this point, there's a few items that we're waiting for and hoping to get in time. We've been tracking that pretty closely. If we get those in when we expect them to, we're going to be able to hold that July date. As I said, we requested a few extra occupancies here just in case, to provide some contingency. But, we're at this point, just talked to our field manager out there. We're on pace for that July date.
Very good, thank you.
So if staff is recommending this, I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a second?
I second.
Any more discussion on this? All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? And motion carries. Thank you.
Very much.
Okay, discussion item 8.2, athletic field allocation policy, update, recommended action. Review final athletic field allocation policy and provide feedback.
Okay, I'm going to introduce our management analyst, Nancy Rodriguez. She's been instrumental in updating the policy, looking at comparable policies from other cities and comparing it to Valley-wide as well to make sure we're in alignment with current field use policies and trying to accommodate all of our current users and give priority to the youth. But I don't want to say too much because I know Nancy's going to go right into it.
Good evening, everyone. This year, our department has kind of focused a lot on updating a lot of our policies since we've increased a lot of our services. One of these is the field allocation policy. We currently allocate 8 multi-purpose fields and 4 baseball diamonds to various organizations and private, resident and non-resident for private use. Through the process, we've kind of formed a different timeline. We first met internally kind of to address what concerns we had been getting from the different organizations, and then to focus on internal issues that we had been having in terms of allocating. Some of these concerns were field availability, allocation priority, allocating to our travel and club teams, and then field SIP leasings through the organization. In order to perfect our policy, we looked at several of the different cities around the area, including Murrieta, Lake Elsinore, Paris, Temecula, and also Valley-wide, who allocates some of the parks here in the city. Once we met internally and did a draft of our updated policy, we reached out to the current sport organizations using our fields and asked them to provide us feedback, kind of address any concerns that they had with the new policies that we were going to be issuing. And once we received that feedback, we took their concerns into consideration and finalized the policy. And now we're here to present it to you guys to request any, if you have any feedback or any questions on it. Once we finalize our policy, we'll be presenting it to all of our organizations on May 17th, where we'll be kicking off our next field allocation season. As you can see here, this is a chart of kind of where we're at with our fee comparisons with the cities nearby. As you can see, Menifee is on the lower end. This matches our master fee schedule. The various cities allocate differently, so depending, some of them do it hourly, some of them by time block, some of them charge for additional services like tournament fees. Our city currently only charges hourly and then has an additional hourly rate for light fees. So we charge based off of resident and non-resident rates, and then we don't charge any extra fees for tournaments or special use on the field. If you have any questions on this.
Yes, Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Why the sliding fee for lights? Is that depending on the size of the field?
Yeah, it
Or
depends on the field. So we have some fields that have lights and some that don't. So depending on the organization and what they request, they'll get those services. So if they need the use of the lights, then they would be charged an additional $10 to $15 an hour, depending on if they are nonprofit or profit organizations.
Okay. Profit or nonprofit? Okay.
Yeah.
Commissioner Bangle?
Yeah, thank you. I noticed that we're at $5 an hour for resident youth leagues, that's the current rate or the proposed rate?
So the city went through a comprehensive fee study using Matrix Group, who's also helping us with the Parks Master Plan. Through their study, they also looked at a lot of these rates locally, and they saw that we did have the capacity to raise the fees. When we presented this to City Council did not recommend raising fees because they wanted to make sure that our fields were available, were affordable, and really wanted to look at more of the service that we're providing versus the revenue generating.
Well, I was wondering how much thought went into the non-resident youth league, because in a way, I don't know what your consultant looked at, but we should not be supplementing anything for non-resident rates. So I can't imagine at $20 an hour, that's full capture. So there should be, and especially when we have some residents that are vying for the fields and they can't get them, and if they're losing out to non-resident, that makes no sense.
Yeah, when we made our proposal to City Council, we did have some suggestions on raising all the fees, and of course, they wanted to keep the residence rates as low as possible. That's why there's this large discrepancy of 5 and 20 between resident and non-resident. And the only way we can make it pragmatic for us to keep the fees sensible was to create a formula where the non-resident rate is a percentage or a higher ratio percentage than the resident rate. And we did make suggestions to maybe have that higher, but that's what we ultimately landed with the City Council.
Do you know the cost of providing service per hour?
Yes, we do. It's much more than this.
So is that not a gift of public funds outside the resident? If they're not a resident of this city, not paying taxes, why are we supplementing their recreation?
Again, that was a City Council decision to provide a service.
Can we make a different recommendation for
The
consideration? I mean, that's why we're here, to advise.
Yeah, well, the fees have already been adopted. I believe we.
Then why are we looking at it?
Well, this is more the
An
general,
overview?
an overview of the policy and the allocations. So this is just a comparison table to show you what the fees are and to show that we're very much in line, if not much more favorable than other municipalities around. But really, we're looking at the allocation policy as a whole.
Well, for the record, in the future, when we look at fees, we really should look at the non-resident youth. Oh, all non-resident fees. We should not be supplementing their recreation activities. They should pay what it costs us to provide that service.
Noted.
That's just my opinion.
Sure.
Thank you.
Any other comments? I did notice that as far as order of priority, resident nonprofit have priority over, and resident youth travel have priority over non-resident as far as allocating of the fields.
Yeah, that's correct. And because of the limited availability of our fields, we don't allocate too much to non-residents. So they would normally get the fields that kind of are left over during the season. So if that day we have a cancellation, there's something available and they do request it, then that will go for the most part to the non-residents. So we don't see that too often. These are some of the highlights of the changes that we made to our current policy. So we did add a definition section, kind of specifying what we consider resident and non-resident. So as long as the rosters contain about 70% of Menifee residents, they would apply to the resident B. So that would be considered a resident organization. We also added some additional requirements so we can verify this information. So we're requesting rosters. We normally were requesting the rosters only once during the application process. Now we request rosters twice a season. We also have requested master schedules from everybody to make sure that we're allocating correctly and that they do in fact need those fields on those dates. We came up with our allocation priorities. So city-sponsored activities always have priority on our fields. Resident nonprofit organizations go next. Resident youth travel and club teams, resident adult sports organizations, and then the non-resident. One of the biggest issues we had was deciphering how much time our travel club teams get on the field. And so we have designated 2 days at Audie Murphy that we will be allocating to the travel club teams. The rest of the fields will be prioritized to the nonprofit youth organizations. We updated the fees to match the fee schedule, and then we gave some clarification on what our subleasing rules are. So organizations are not able to sublease to any other organization outside of their own. Any questions?
Yes, Chair.
Yeah, Commissioner Faust.
Where would, like, youth groups that are within the city, like a church youth group that wanted to use a field, is that just based on availability?
So it would be based on availability. Same thing with like private groups, or like private families that want to go out into the baseball field to have a birthday party or something similar to that. They would go. They would whatever is available. Our fields are very popular, so we don't have availability. So if it's available, we allocate to them, and that's kind of a first come first served basis.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions or comments?
Do you foresee this allocation structure changing the availability for the organizations that are currently using the field? So, like, if there's, the baseball ponies, like, I'm not sure if they already have expected X amount of field time each season. Is this going to change that for them after this
It
is
would
in
be
place?
based off the number of players that they have this new season. So we will focus on the number of kids that they have on the roster, and then we'll allocate fields that way.
Okay.
So yeah, so every year we'll have them submit their application with their roster, and depending on how many residents they have on their roster is how we allocate the time.
Oh, and you guys weren't doing that previously?
We were just, there was, with our old policy, there wasn't clarification on how that was done, so we wanted to make sure that we had that written down for the organization. So when they submitted their application, they knew what to expect.
So you don't anticipate there being much of a shift for the organizations in the
Not much of
community
the
right
shift,
now?
just because the rosters stay pretty similar, and then we don't have many fields available. With the addition of like the new parks, that's going to help us a lot. And then we have the 2 new parks coming along, and then we're also working on a CIP project that you'll see later to add an extra diamond at La Ladera. So that's going to help us. So it just depends because we don't have a lot of fields to allocate.
And so the change that would happen is like if, for example, Menifee Little League or Pony, which has more for the ball fields, or AYSO, so because we've consolidated those travel teams or club teams to the couple days, theirs will actually, the only change would probably increase a field availability for them. So they may get an extra time on the field. Those youth groups may get that. So it's a positive for the nonprofit recreational leagues.
And then how do you separate the travel teams from the non-travel teams? Is there like a specific definition or requirement? Because it's not necessarily clear, like AYSO compared to another soccer organization.
So AYSO, because they are nonprofits, they'll go under like the youth sports organizations. The travel and the club teams are outside of that. They're not considered nonprofits. We base them off residents. So if they have 70% of their roster Menifee residents, then they'll be considered on that 3rd tier.
And if I can jump in really quick on that, there's a clear, in our definitions, there's a clear difference between what a recreation league is, and that's essentially anybody could join, Little League, Menifee, Pony Baseball, things of that nature, whereas a travel team or a club team are normally, they're trying out. So they're kind of the elite ball players that leagues are looking for.
Thank you.
Chair, lastly, is it communicated in the policy, I'm trying to say, what the deadlines are for registering, for the organizations to register?
The deadlines change every season. So during our meeting on May 17th, which we have at the beginning of each season, we'll kick off our schedule. So we'll let them know when the applications are due, when they should be expected to get a schedule, and then they're all aware that on August 1st, our new season starts.
Is that, you have a meeting that you invite them
Yeah,
all to?
so we'll have a meeting on May 17th. We'll invite all the current organizations and anybody who's called in to request fields that might not be on the schedule now. And we'll go over this policy as well as the new application, and then we'll go over all of our schedules and answer any questions that they might have for the new season.
And how many organizations are currently out there right now?
So we usually have between 20 and 30 depending on the season. Some of them have 1 day on our field. Some of them are on our fields every day.
And only 2 responded to our request for comments.
Only 2 responded, yeah.
That's unfortunate. Okay. Thank you.
And then also, will the notification of the meeting be posted for the community? So if there's organizations who want to use the fields and are not necessarily currently utilizing them, will they be invited, or is there a way that they would know outside of?
We can post it on our city website or on like social media. Usually, right now we have a list of anybody who's ever used our field, and that's kind of what we use as our master list, or anybody who's called inquiring about it. But we can definitely do a push to put it on either social media or on our website or anything like that. We can definitely do that for this upcoming season.
Mr. Chair, we're not voting on this, right? They just wanted input?
I believe you just wanted feedback, correct?
It's not a, you don't need a motion, do you?
No.
Any more questions or comments? Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to 8.3, capital improvement budget for fiscal year 2023-24 and 2024-25.
Mr. Howe.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Nix. So what we're going to go over is a couple different, we have under our department, so there's the Park and Trails CIP projects and also the facilities projects. Facilities is under community services as well. So as we, apologize. So as you look at this first slide, there are multiple new projects that we're going to be on here. There's a few of them that they are the remodel of 76 or the Fire Station 68 interior improvements that are phase 2. Those ones are under the facilities, that's why we have it on here, but they'll be managed by Public Works and Engineering. So a little bit of a larger project, they have more staff, they're able to take that project on. So it's, yes, it's under facilities, but it will be managed under a different department. So under our department, we have the Cay Cisneros parking lot renovation. That's just repaving it, and I'll go over these next slides that are there. I apologize. So these are all the projects that we're doing facility-wise throughout the city. So we have the Rekey project, Fire Station 76 living quarters improvement, Civic Center parking lot. That's next to the amphitheater. Fire Station 68, the interior is phase 2. They just completed phase 1 about a week ago. And then the Cay Cisneros Senior Center parking lot improvement. Those three that are the new ones, so 76, what it is creating more living quarters for the firefighters there. There's a big patio that they're going to enclose, so it adds more sleeping quarters, and then a little bit of a larger kitchen area and sitting area for them. So they're going to be putting a new smaller truck there, so that there's going to it's as things grow around that facility, there's more activity that they're going out to. The Fire Station 68, that building was built, I believe, in the 80s and 90s. I forget how old it is. I believe it's in the 80s. So it had never been renovated. So we're just starting to upgrade some of those, the facility itself. The Civic Center parking lot, that is going to be the parking lot that will be constructed first, where City Hall is anticipated to be right next to the amphitheater. So as the amphitheater gets built, this will be built at the same time. So we will have parking there to be able to sufficient before we build the amphitheater. So, So the Cay Cisneros parking lot renovation. So while we're doing there, back in 2015, when we took over this building from the county and it became a community services headquarters, we're redoing the parking lot. We're just going to reseal it, restripe it. It just needs a little facelift. As you can, if you're in the parking lot, it gets used. That parking lot is packed every day, so it just needs a little love. The citywide facility rekey project. So as we've been growing, we've been getting a lot more facilities. So, and each one's had its own keys, different things like that. It looks like some of our guys are carrying, the big jail cell type key ring. But what we're trying to do is have a consistency throughout the keys. So when we do build new facilities, we'll rekey those ones to continue with like the facilities we have here. So we're trying to just organize that a little bit more per facility for our department. And that's all for the facility CIP projects if you guys have any questions on those.
Commissioners, any questions?
So I actually have a question about the rekeying. So is it going to be a traditional like they're redoing all the keyholes for all of the facilities, or are they going to be transitioning to a key card system?
No, so it will be redoing the keyholes. Some of them, we don't have to do every single key. So we are, like, City Hall's already been, it's a newer facility, so we're able to use those keys, like, for example, like the senior center or the maintenance operations center, we're able to rekey those facilities to that. All these have a dual cylinder on there, so we'll have a master key and then someone else has a key just for that building. So for an office space, they only have a key for their office. It's not everybody else, and the facilities may have that master key that is able to control the whole thing. So they have one key per office, so they're not carrying 35 different keys. They're able to get it with one key. But for the safety reasons, someone else only has the one key for their office, not everybody else.
Thank you for clarification.
Okay, if I can get the PowerPoint back up. Okay, so fiscal year 23-24 and 24-25 park trails and recreation projects. So as we can see in here, the ones that are new, well, I'll go over the ones that were already on the list, and some of them are under construction or in design. Some of them we are now bringing forward. We have funding. We're anticipating to use that funding for that project. So the AMR skate park improvements, I don't believe they're on the other slides. Okay, so the AMR park improvements is we're building a ticket booth for the skate park, also a ranger station that will be back behind there so they can do their programming out of it, their offices back there. It'll make use of that site at the park. So it's just, it'll be having the rangers there on site a little more at the skate park and being in that is just a plus for the community. The Quail Valley, I'll go over that one, yeah. So I'll go over these new ones. So the Evans Park North design and construction. So yes, we've had the Evans Park on here before. What we did is actually close it out. The one, because we built the pump track, what we're doing is specifying just that north section, because the other project that we had called out the northern section and the southern section. We have completed that southern section with the Gale Webb Action Sports Park. So now we're bringing this forward with a $300,000 total, just to get the environmental, get things done, working on that to be able to see what we can actually do on that northern parcel so that we can get going on that larger project. The Gale Webb Action Sports Park, so as we were gonna put a restroom in there before, as we ran into issues with it, so we're specifying now an actual project for that restroom. That's what the $200,000 is for, and you can see right where that restroom is gonna go at that park. We are looking with the county and health and safety it'll probably be a pit tank because of the sewer line that is so far away from the park. It's just not feasible to actually put a sewer line without a pump station or anything like that at the park. The park and right-of-way signage. So we'll be updating all the park signage as these parks have been getting built throughout the city. Each one they may have the same verbiage. Some of them have old phone numbers. Some, as we're growing, as City Hall is doing. So we just want to consolidate all these, make sure they have our policy numbers on it, the right municipal codes on it, the right PD, park ranger, different phone numbers that need on it, so that all the parks are consistent with the same signs. And now these are the city maintained parks that I'm talking about. The biggest one is the Sun City Park Development, so that's next to Lutheran Church. That we're excited to get going on this project here. It was a walking trail, solar lights, a workout equipment, age appropriate, there in the Sun City development. So this is an exciting project that we're ready to get started with this. And we are only anticipating the $600,000 because of the grant that we acquired to be able to purchase the land from them. Quail Valley Park Development. So what we're looking at here is there's a Canyon Hills, or Canyon Estates. the HOA development. So they had a park that was built there. It was a multi-use field. They shut it down years ago, and they want to get rid of it off of their hands. So we're looking at getting that property to be able to update it, to be able to use the multi-purpose field, exercise equipment, just make it usable. Quail Valley doesn't really have a park, so that the community can use up there. So something like that. It's already there. The big infrastructure, most of the infrastructure is there, so it was just a real good. Oh, sorry. I thought you were gonna say something on that.
Actually, I was just going to mention the team has worked to find some additional grant funding as well. You could see that noted on the asterisk there that there's a land water conservation grant that's available that this could qualify for. So we're allocating dollars here so we could have a match for that grant and utilize that. And so definitely trying to align with our draft master plan policy to find those areas where we don't have as many parks like Quail Valley and try to find creative ways to get those parks there.
Question real quick on that park. Access is going to be from Canyon Heights Drive
No, so
or from Newport?
If you can see the
it's
number, that 23816,
Yeah.
there's a little road right there. So we'll probably have to expand that road for that access.
I believe it's Wells Road that's there. So we'll just that's the entrance to the park will be on that road.
Did you put your mouse on it? I mean, I guess I'm not seeing it.
See if I can.
It's up, it's middle right corner.
Right at the top right corner
okay,
of that
between
that parcel,
That
correct?
little space in between there, that right of way. Okay, that's the access.
Yeah, that one.
Okay, gotcha.
Top one, correct. You said
And
it.
it's just a sports field.
So, sports field, walking trail, exercise equipment, just a usable park,
Yeah.
an
A little-
active park.
Yeah, a little history on that one. So it was an HOA park, but the HOA actually has a lot of conservation land adjacent to them that they got saddled with when the development was done. So that's actually taking a lot of the HOA's funding to maintain that conservation land. So unfortunately, several years ago, they weren't able to upkeep this park. So it's been, as Mr. Howell mentioned, it's just been fallow for all that time. But it is built to be a park. There's an irrigation grid there. There's actually a very nice, Bryce and I walked it last year, asphalt trail that goes around the perimeter of it. So it's something that we think we can rehab, get the irrigation back going, get the grass going, make some soccer fields out there, reuse that trail around there, and get a really nice amenity going again.
And we just have to purchase that land from them, or do we own that already?
Oh, we don't. So that they actually give us a letter for the grant application saying there'd be a willing seller.
Gift it.
Yeah, willing seller. Yeah,
Willing
so but it's a very similar to the Faith Lutheran Church where we're purchasing that land from them and then getting using a grant and then also getting some additional funding to improve. So very, very similar type of structure. And they heard about that, and so here we are.
And that's why you'll see the funding over the 2 years. There's the 500,000 and the 250,000 over. We're phasing it in to be able to get that going on that park. Laladera Park enhancements. So this is a 2-year project, $200,000, 23-24, and then another $900,000 into 24-25. So what we're looking to do, the first year that we're going to do, as you can see highlighted on that, the park is shade that playground. That's one of our last playgrounds. We redid the rubber. We've added pickleball courts there. We put lighted pickleball, lit up the basketball courts. We've added new benches, amenities over the years. So now we're trying to make this more, little bit, use that space that's there. So what we're looking at to do is, this picture has the 3 just to show that we can do it, but it's probably going to be 2 ball fields for younger youth. So 3, the only reason we wouldn't do 3 is there's not enough parking there to be able to do that, to withstand that many couple games going on each one. So 2 ball fields lit up. We're also looking at redoing the parking lot for that. Just a new upgrade to the park so we can use that open space that's there. And then the public arts in the park. So what we're trying to do is establish a unique identity throughout the city. So as you can see, as you go through the parks, if you're walking on a trail, you're going to see just opportunities of people, different people, different kinds of art throughout the community. And then the last one is the Quail Valley Trail Fence Enhancement. So that's an LMD Zone 37, Location 1. That's in the Quail Valley area. So this was an LMD that this development was built before the city incorporated. This came on with the LMDs when the city took them on. So that fencing is 4,000 lineal feet, but over the years, it's just starting to deteriorate. We've replaced it and spent money on it and tried to repair, but it's hard to get the material now, so it's just not cost efficient. So what we're looking at doing is replacing the fencing with a split rail fence with our city standard, the HDPE. Looks like the vinyl fencing, but it's a little thicker. It lasts a lot longer within that development. But it's unfunded right now, so what we're doing is putting this in as a placeholder so we can locate that funding for there. So there's a little bit of reserves in that LMD, but not enough to replace the entire fence. So we're looking at different options right now. If we just put the fencing on one side, it would cut it down by 2,000 lineal feet, or if we do the whole thing for the 4,000. So it's an estimated cost at 250,000, and it's a big ticketed item on there. So that's what we're looking to do, how to fund that right now.
Commissioner Bangle.
Yeah, is one of the options simply to remove the fence and not replace it?
Yes, so the council was talking about that at the workshop yesterday. So I think what we've come to decide is we are going to remove the inside portion right now, use some of that railing that's in there to fill in the gaps so that the fence is complete on the inside until we're able to that. It should last a couple more years to be able to do that, and then we'll have some spare parts. And then eventually, if that doesn't work, we will remove the whole thing until we can put the new fencing in.
I guess I'm asking, why do we need a fence? What does the barrier do?
The reason the fencing was brought up, there's residents there, the constituents there that have come up to ask for replacement of the fencing. We have a lot of trails throughout the city that doesn't have the fencing, sidewalks that's right up against there. So it's aesthetic, I guess, a little bit of both. So,
Yeah, it's also matching our standard at like Paloma Wash and all that, to have that separation, not only the landscape, but to have the fencing separating the trail and the sidewalk. So it's to kind of keep that consistency with some of our newer trails. But to your point, it's not something that needs to be done immediately. That's why we have it as an unfunded right now.
Just a question on that area, Chair. The landscaping on the slope, is that HOA, and then between the trail and the curb is city?
that's all the slope and everything is maintained by the city. So that's all the LMD.
Yeah, and all the funding we get from the LMD right now goes towards that maintenance. So that's why there isn't a reserve available to replace all the fence.
So if you put in a new fence, you still don't have the money to fix that once it's broke, because the LMD is underfunded, and it was established before Prop 218. So we ought to really consider maybe changing the standard in places that cannot afford to maintain it in perpetuity. Just a thought.
Yeah. Well, definitely that's why we wanted to create the project, so we can do that study and make those recommendations.
And that's all I have for the CIP. If anybody has any questions.
Any more? Commissioner Faust?
Yes, I had a couple questions. First, back to the Gail Webb restroom.
Yes.
It's a pit type toilet. How about for water? What's the plan there for providing water for sanitation?
That's actually still in the works. We're working with EMWD right now, trying to get we have approval on the plans for it. It's an insurance issue that we're working with our contractor and getting that in there. So the water should be in before the restroom.
Okay. And then secondly, I didn't see under status and the Normandy Road bike lane sidewalk. It was funded. It ran into the environmental issues 6 months ago. I thought we were going to expedite that with the county and folks. What's happening with Normandy Road?
Yeah, they're still working on that. They're still working on attempting to get that done before, the schools open. But yeah, it's a lot of those environmental permits dealing with the county and because it's right there on the Salt Creek. But that's been the holdup, and engineering's handling that one. But that's still the plan, to try to get that done before school opens.
Before next school season, or?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I recently purchased a bicycle, an e-bike, which makes us older Americans a little easier to to ride.
It is Older Americans Month in May.
Yeah, it is Older Americans, so I'm taking advantage of that and riding on my bicycle around and having that pedal assist is awesome. And so I've been riding down Normandy quite a bit lately, and it's scary. It is really scary, that stretch there, for my wife and I. But so I have a personal interest in seeing that done as well too. But I'm sure, you know, just for kids trying to get from one neighborhood to the other, from park to park, as we're talking about connectivity between parks and things, I think it's a critical piece.
Absolutely.
Secondly, I didn't see the Paloma Wash Bridge on the list either. Is
Well-
that tied into the amphitheater project now, or?
Yeah, so we're presenting the projects that we're recommending for funding. So the amphitheater has funding already. That project's, we had a meeting this morning. We're still trying to wrap up all the design comments because it's such a complicated and unique structure. Same thing with the bridge. That is a project that's still funded, still moving forward. We're trying to get both of those out to bid at the same time so we can just shut down the park once and do all the construction together, as Mr. Howell also mentioned, doing the parking lot, the amphitheater, and the bridge. So we're hoping we have enough funding between various funds, between you know, whether it be DIF and parks funds and trail funds and different gas tax for the parking lot, so to speak, put that all together and have one large project, and we only have to shut down the park once. And then when it's reopened, we have all these great amenities.
Okay, so it's still considered design phase?
Yes,
the
definitely, yeah.
bridge? Okay.
Mhm.
That's all the comments I had.
Mr. Bengal.
I have a cautionary comment. When I heard Land and Water Conservation Fund, they're notorious, or at least they used to be, for delaying projects and holding up other grants. I don't know if you're aware, it's a federal program, but it's managed by the state through OGALS, and they always were short-staffed. Now, this was pre-pandemic, so I don't imagine it's gotten any better. So just be careful, because they could really hold up your project, and they're really notorious for not getting paperwork back. And a lot of agencies don't even go after them anymore. It's what we call hard money. So
We're hoping there's less competition.
yeah, there's none, because no one wants it.
Yeah.
The paperwork's gonna bury you.
Yeah, definitely, and appreciate that. But you know, that's why we're also trying to get a little bit ahead by having our funding ready to go, and having that reserved. And once theirs comes, we're able to go for it. So
Good luck.
yeah.
I have a comment regarding Evans Park North. Can we put that back up? Thank you. I see no funding for 24, 25 is what's going to happen with the park.
We're taking one step at a time here. So we've used a lot of very fortunately used a lot of park funding over the last few years. You know, allocating funding to the amphitheater, getting the Gale Webb pump track done, getting Lazy Creek done, the Paloma Wash Trail. So we allocated what we can to just start the environmental process and hopefully maybe even a conceptual design. And then as more funding comes in, hopefully with more DIF funding coming in, we'll allocate more as time goes on to get enough to hopefully get to construction in the next few years.
Okay, and the Sun City Park are the same. There was no funding for 24, 25. Do you anticipate the 23, 24 funding will be enough to complete that park?
Yeah, go ahead. Go, Bryce.
We anticipate it being completed by 24, 25. So we actually, we have some time, but we're anticipating it to be completed by then. So that's what we're using that funding for.
Okay. Any other comments, commissioners? Do we need a motion for this? Or just review and discuss?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. On to 8.4, master plan draft update, recommended action.
Ms. Mitchell on this one.
All right, can I get the PowerPoint up, please? Thank you. So one slide. So this is we said we'd bring it back to you after the last meeting, so that way we can, you guys can take another opportunity to take a look at the incorporation of the comments from both the commissioners and then some of the comments from our city staff as well. Just want to highlight some of the key updates. Some of the big ones were in future conditions. There was an additional portion where they kind of strengthened the trail portion and kind of not so much relying on the active transportation plan, but really talking about trails and connectivity. Chapter 6, the recommendations, was a large portion of some of the things that you guys had wanted to see incorporated into the Parks Master Plan update, kind of our plan for the next 5 to 10 years. And then the addition of an entire appendix, Appendix E, which kind of outlines some of the trail recommendations, things like the greenbelt loop throughout the city, utilizing easements with utility areas. So they really spent a lot of time after hearing some of the feedback from both our commissioners who were present and our commissioner who wasn't with us that night, to kind of take a look at saying, this is, our initial master plan was parks, open space, trails, and recreation. So we wanted to make sure we didn't miss that in this one as well. The master plan is still on the city website, up for public review until May 10th, and we anticipate that we'll have any additional recommendations from both the public, anybody else who wants to provide some feedback, whatever we can incorporate, we will incorporate it prior to the city council workshop on May 31st at 3 p.m. So that is my update for this, and if there's any other questions or clarifications, I'd be happy to answer.
Commissioner Bengal.
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank you for separating the two documents, the old one from the new one, so we could see the difference. I specifically want to thank you for item 6.13. That's very important to me, and I appreciate you putting that in there. Thank you very much. Great document. You should all be proud. Thank you.
Commissioner Faust.
Just second that. Spent a long time reviewing all the changes and the updates and stuff, and it's really looking good.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Ms. Mitchell and the team have been working very diligently with KTUA on it. I also do want to note that I know we gave you this very large revised packet, but the public review period is still open, and then also the workshop is still happening at the end of the month. So if you, as you review it again, or take some time over the next couple of weeks, if you see anything else, there's still time to make those updates. We don't anticipate taking the final draft to City Council probably in June, and if we can't make the June date, we'll probably go July, which is Parks Make Life Better month. So that's where our aim is. So there is still time. If you guys see anything else on here or have any additional comments, we still have time to make some adjustments.
The more I ride my bike, the more I'm becoming more aware of all the gaps that we have in our bike lanes and trail systems. That's for sure.
I do have a few comments regarding the master plan. The figure 2.3 HOA communities and facilities, they put Menifee Lakes in, but they did not highlight it in blue like the other. I don't know if, can we put that up or not? Okay.
No, unfortunately, I don't believe
right.
we have the master plan on.
Should I just email you guys these recommendations, or?
Yes, if you'd like to, and you have them listed out, I'd be more than happy to take them, so
Okay,
we can
that'd be
incorporate
good.
them.
All right, thank you. All right, and moving on to item number 9, Community Services Department comments.
Okay, if we can get the PowerPoint back up, please. Just a few director comments. You may have seen the press release, but we did receive funding, approval for funding from the California Natural Resource Agency for that Sun City Park, and that is for the acquisition of the land from Faith Lutheran Church. We're still working on getting all the documents and taking that final agreement to the City Council for approval. And what they do is they actually get the funding, they put it directly into an escrow account so we can make that transaction and purchase the land. So that will be fantastic. And that is not the funding that we showed you in the CIP. So that funding is for the purchase. The funding that Mr. Howell showed is actually to do the improvements at $600,000. So unfortunately, I have some sad news. Commissioner Payne had some very serious family obligations. He just reported to us earlier this week, so he unfortunately had to resign. So we do have an application open for another person to join our commission and join the 4 of you. So if you do know anybody that might be interested in all the wonderful work that the 4 of you are doing, please tell them to apply. We have it open until May 15th at 5 o'clock.
And this is an appointment by Councilman Estrada?
Yes, that's correct. So he'd be reviewing the applications after that deadline. There's been a request to have participation in the Complete Streets Plan Project Advisory Team. We're recommending that the chair and vice chair represent the PRTC on that. And there's a first meeting that is tentatively scheduled for May 10th at 3 o'clock. Wanted to check with the chair and vice chair if that works for you. If not, we can certainly go back to engineering and find dates and times that work.
I am not available, but I believe Commissioner Faust is available that day.
Okay.
Yes, I'm willing to attend.
Very good. Thank you.
And, so just,
And just-
I've got it in my calendar now. So.
Perfect, thank you. And just one fun reminder, we wanted to get this on your calendar as soon as possible. The Independence Celebration Parade is on June 24th. And so we will have a golf cart ready for you guys, decorated patriotically. If you would like to participate in the parade, you can see that the Senior Advisory Committee last year came out in the 103-degree heat, and we're very much participating in that. So if you are available and like to participate in the parade before the festival, which all it does, it starts at MSJC parking lot, goes down La Piedra. It's the shortest parade in the world, and then it makes a right turn on Menifee Road and goes, Menifee Road, then goes right into Wheatfield Park. So if you're, check your calendars, let us know, and we will have a very nicely decorated golf cart for you. Yes,
Is it,
Commissioner
so
Brown.
is it going to be similar to the Christmas parade that we had?
Yeah, very similar to that, yeah.
Is it possible to extend like the invitation to whether it be organizations in the community or
Yes.
businesses in the community to be a part of it? Because I think that'd be.
I can jump in
Go-
real
go
quick. So the parade is actually organized by Lake Menifee Women's Club, and they are accepting applications right now for anybody who wants to participate. It's completely free, and it's a great opportunity for our organizations and our local residents to come out and support the city in this, but definitely we want to see our youth groups out there. We want to see any nonprofits out there. It's also an opportunity to kind of promote what they're doing throughout the community as well. So.
And there's actually more participation in this parade because it's been around a little bit longer. So I just realized what your comment was.
Yeah, we're parades are where we're getting there.
Right, yeah.
We promise. We'll
It's
get
it's
there.
an evolution.
Yeah.
It is.
But I think with competition, people get really motivated. So that may also help if we do like you vote on the float type thing. I don't know, or the golf cart.
Yeah, the Women's Club does do that for this
Yeah.
one, yeah. And those are all my updates.
Okay, 9.2, Parks and Progress update.
Mr. Howell?
If I can get the PowerPoint, please. Okay, so I have a few other slides after this one just to go over. We already mentioned the Sun City Park that's in there. The Legato is still in the design review. I don't need to show those pictures all the time. But as we can go through these, so Underwood Park, they have completed their park where we just on Wednesday did our final inspection, just to create a punch walk with that punch list. So we are getting into the 90-day maintenance period. We'll let everyone know when we're going to have a ribbon cutting and a grand opening for this park. We're super excited to have this park, as well as all of them, and Quartz Ranch. Just as Nancy did with the policy, we have 2 lit multi-purpose fields just with these other 2 parks. That's 2 more lit pub. So we're doubling what we have just on those multi-purpose fields right away. So this is a 10-acre park, has that lit playground, a covered inclusive playground, so it has a lot of amenities in there for all abilities, sensory items, things like that. The restroom, the picnic shelter, the parking lot, and then like I said, the multi-purpose field. Banner Park is moving along pretty good. As you can see in that top right corner, that's the forms going up. They've actually started pouring it. That's for the splash pad. They have the picnic shelters are in. A lot of the flat work is in. So they're moving around. The holding tank for the splash pad is in. So Banner Park's moving along really quick. It's nice to see that actually come up, and we're ready to open that park. And then Quartz Ranch, that's the other one that's up the street from our office there on Evans Road. So it's another 5-acre sports park, 2 picnic shelters, the tot lot, the multi-purpose field. It says 2 tennis courts. It's actually 4 pickleball courts. I need to adjust that. And then 1 basketball court that's there. So pickleball's a lot more needed. So that will have the 4 pickleball courts at that park. And that's all I have for the Parks in Progress, if you guys have any
Mr. Howell, if I may add, I believe, and I apologize, I missed this. I think at the last meeting, Commissioner Faust requested to see the conceptual designs for Legato, so we'll email that out to the commission.
Any comments? Moving on to 9.3, solid waste and recycling update.
Good evening, Commissioners. I have a few updates from solid waste and recycling program activities from the month of April. For education and outreach activities, we've now completed 4 consultations under our business assistance program. And again, this is a free consultation available to any Menifee businesses looking to review their recycling program and ensure that they are meeting the state requirements of SB 1383. So those have been going pretty well. They can also be eligible under this program for a $1,000 reimbursement for associated fees. We've did a Menifee Recycles booth at the past Foodie Fridays. We'll also be there tomorrow, which I think is the next Foodie Friday event. 24 illegal dumping requests were routed. This is actually listed twice. We did a really fun recycling video that was geared for internal staff to show everyone how to properly sort their waste, and we got the police department, finance, community services involved, so it's a pretty fun video. And then we have one commercial running about 10 times a day because they're looking for content for the Menifee Valley Community Cupboard, and that's essentially to let businesses know that would like to donate their edible food, that they can contact the Menifee Valley Community Cupboard to set that up. Some administrative updates. Our edible food recovery grant program, we went to council for the purchase of a refrigerated box truck so that the cupboard could begin their satellite distribution in Quail Valley and Romoland. Unfortunately, that truck was sold before we could get back to the lot, but we have received a proposal for a new truck. So that program is moving along. And we also are in negotiations with Waste Management to amend the current franchise agreement in regards to SB 1383. Some diversion activities, again, 24 illegal dumping requests were routed. About a half a ton of litter was collected under our litter abatement program, and 25 tons of trash was collected at the Menifee Better Together event. 17% of that was diverted from the landfill. And then that graphic is just a reminder that we have a really cool website, Menifee Recycles, cityofmenifee.us/Menifee Recycles.
Commissioner Faust.
Yeah, the 25 tons, that seems an amazing amount of trash. How did that compare the campaign this year to previous years? Do you know?
I think we've seen a reduction in attendance at that particular drop-off event because we do 4 events now. So our MSJC event in February has been really well attended. Also, we anticipate Heritage High, which we're doing in September, to be really well attended because we got a lot of feedback from that area that they really haven't had a bulky item drop-off. So. But yeah, I think because we're offering more and we're trying to get the word out to residents that they can actually have bulky items picked up directly from their home as well, we're seeing attendance reduce for that event.
Did we get a lot of tires as we anticipated?
I haven't gotten the report for the tire collection from Menifee Better Together, but someone dropped off like tractor tires or at the last event, so our tonnage was pretty high. So I think the fact that we are able to offer tire collection now is pretty good because then they won't end up on the side of the road.
When I was a kid, a tractor tire was at the park. That was a park amenity, right? And does the city sponsor e-waste collection dates or events?
No, we don't have a special, because I know that Marietta recently did a HHW collection event. Those are operated by the county, so we've talked about requesting those. We do collect batteries at several city facilities, but we typically direct residents to the hazardous collection site in Marietta and Lake Elsinore.
Thank you.
did we have a role in that shredding event that happened a couple of weeks ago? We did? So there was some negative comments online. People said it wasn't well advertised. And I'm here to tell you it was well advertised. There was a sign right on Newport. You couldn't miss it. It was too well advertised in that you ran out of space, I think around 10 o'clock. So one thing for the future to think about is having more capacity. But number two, maybe think about switching locations. I almost got out of my car and started directing traffic. I was getting so frustrated. You had cars having to cross each other, and people aren't always that smart. So you have to make it easy for them. So maybe a bigger parking lot.
Maybe the Central Park.
There you
parking
go.
lot.
But it was a great event. I got
Yeah.
mine in before,
Yeah.
barely. They were jumping up and down, making it go
Yeah,
down.
definitely.
get there
We appreciate the feedback. We know that this shredded event, we work with the city clerk's office on this one, but it's also part of our waste management services that they provide, part of the franchise agreement, so it's fantastic. But we know this one gets really busy because it's right after tax season, so everybody has all these extra documents. The fall ones, we usually have a little more capacity. Yeah. But we purposely do it
Good
right
event
after.
overall.
Yeah. Thank you, appreciate the comments.
And then also, where are the commercials being advertised at? Because I know you said there were commercials.
Oh, so the new City Peg channel. I'm not
Okay.
sure that's the answer.
So at the very beginning of the meeting, when we had that little intro video, the last part of the video shows all the channels, but I'll make sure we can get that to all the commissioners.
I don't think the Spectrum channel's live yet.
I'll
think the other-
double check on that
I think
one.
the other ones are, but not that one.
Yeah.
You can also watch on the city,
Yes,
through the
on
city
our
website.
Yeah, our YouTube channel, yeah.
All right, any more comments? Moving on, 9.4, Recreation Division update.
Ms. Mitchell?
All right, so I love showing this slide. It shows how great it is that our residents participate in all of our programs. And every year, our revenue comes in that also kind of shows the fact that people are looking for programs and activities that we provide. So I'd like to highlight on the slide that we have surpassed our revenue for this year from last year. And a lot of that is attributed to a number of our contract class programs, our city staff ran programming, and then also our athletic fields rentals. So definitely something for everyone. For the Recreation Division, we have a couple things on here. There's a lot of stuff going on. Like I said, never a dull day in Community Services Plus. And so I'm just going to highlight a few things. One of them is that we are looking to promote our Healthy Menifee program, which is Get Fit at the Park. We offer a number of programs at various parks throughout the city. So anybody looking to get active, wanting to get out there, wanting to try something new, we encourage you to come out and meet with us. We typically have a trained instructor coming out there. I think this next one, the last one that just passed on May 3rd was circuit workout training. And I know that there's also some additional cooking, some dancing, and yoga in the park. So really excited about offering that. Another thing I want to highlight is that our transportation workshop is still happening at the Case Santa Senior Center every month. The next one is on May 18th. And just to kind of give you an idea of how our transportation program is going, and specifically our partnership with Caravan, from the start of the implementation of the program at the end of October, Caravan has provided 542 trips to our seniors and disabled residents, which has covered over 5,400 miles. And since the inception of the program, over 60 new passengers. Our workshops, we have had over 105 participants, and some of the frequent stops that Caravan goes to are typically the Case Santa Senior Center for our lunch program, medical appointments, post office, and grocery stores. So again, I'd like to put out there, if anybody is aware of any of our local HLAs or senior groups, we are more than happy to take our workshop on the road. So we will be able to send staff and present the information regarding all of our transportation options, including RTA Dollar Ride, the transportation reimbursement program, the trip program, and then also Caravan. So again, wanting to get the word out about the many options that are available to our seniors to get them to where they need to be within the city of Menifee. Next, I have some additional information about summer camp. So summer is here. Didn't feel like it today. It's a little rainy, but our official registration date for summer camp started on May 3rd, and some of our programs are actually full already. So again, a testament to the quality and the type of programming that we offer. This is just a little snapshot. We have camps for all ages, starting from our Tiny Tots, which is the 3 to 5 year old, on to our school age programs, and then we also offer specific specialty camps like sports. I believe there's also going to be some additional themes like science, mad scientist, board gaming, things of that nature. So registration is now open, and then we are also offering priority registration to any of our residents are registered for our camps to attend our field trips, which typically happen on Wednesdays during the summer months. And then after that, general field trip registration opens on May 24th. But lots of opportunities. There's definitely some full day options, some half day options, 1 day a week options, 1 afternoon a week, whatever it is that you're looking for. We're trying to ensure that our residents have a number of opportunities to engage in some of our summer programming. So I can, if you're okay, I can move on with special
please.
events. Okay.
Thank you.
Our next upcoming special events, we want to make sure that you're aware of. We have our next Spring Art Affair, which is happening next Friday on May 12th at 5:30 p.m. at the Case Sarah Senior Center. We currently have 26 artists that are signed up to showcase all of their amazing artwork, which varies from photography to mixed media, a little bit of everything, along with some additional live entertainment that's going to be happening in the Palm Room, and we've just got confirmation that we'll have a food truck out there. Next, coming up on May 20th, we have our Senior Expo and Wellness Fair. This will be taking place at Central Park from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. We typically have over 40 exhibitors, free giveaways from the people that are looking to ensure that our seniors have resources, from our care provider resources, multiple demonstrations. We'll have some live entertainment out there, and a free lunch to the first 100 attendees. So if you or a family member or somebody is looking for resources to help with our active adults, this would be the place to be. And also, speaking of our partnership with Caravan, they typically run Monday through Friday from 8 to 5 p.m. However, they've made an arrangement with us that if any of our seniors need a ride on Saturday, May 20th, to attend this event, they can definitely arrange one by calling Caravan. So we're excited about that. Next, we also have our Memorial Day ceremony that is coming back on Monday, May 29th at 10 a.m. This will be held at Central Park, and again, our typical ceremony includes special presentations, guest speakers, special flyover, remembrance messages, things of that nature. We are bringing back our Memorial Day 5K. This is something that we had done in the past, and that kind of went away a little bit, but we're working with a local run provider, Finished Results, so it's going to be an actual timed 5K. It has been USTAF certified, so if you're looking to qualify for the Boston Marathon, you could do it with us. But again, the registration is currently available through Finish Results, and early bird registration has unfortunately ended. However, pre-registration is $40, and they will take registration on site for $45 a person. Again, they have some monetary prizes associated with this, but it's all dependent upon the number of registrants that day. And last but not least, I have our summer series, our Park After Dark series, which includes our Menifee Moonlight Markets, our Movies in the Park, our Independence Celebration, the Family Camp out at Lazy Creek, and we're actually ending our series with Shakespeare in the Park. So there's a number of dates. We've actually made taken the opportunity, because we weren't really sure where the amphitheater, pardon me, where the amphitheater was going to be. But so we are taking our Park After Dark into the city. So you'll see that we're pretty much taken the opportunity to go to every district throughout the city, kind of highlighting some of our parks, our neighborhood parks, in order to kind of showcase that to all of our residents. So that, I believe, concludes my report. Yes. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Commissioners?
Just one, noted that they recently dedicated the San Jacinto College football stadium. Is there anything being planned this year in cooperation with the college that we would use that facility?
We're still under negotiations with MSJC to establish an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, for use of that facility. They are taking the time to, before they open it up to partnership use, they kind of want to get a feel for what the maintenance cost and what that's all going to require. So I don't believe we're going to be able to get into the stadium until later next year.
Yeah, but we are partnering with them to use their campus. They have actually a very nice courtyard area. So we're going to be exploring using that versus just the parking lot. But we are still partnering with them to have several of our events there.
Yes.
And I appreciate you bringing back the 5K. I know I requested that a while back, and thank you for doing that.
You're
I
welcome.
believe you medaled in that last time. One of the top runners, you and your wife.
9.6, Capital Improvement Program Update.
Okay. The permanent park restroom, I'll show that on the next slide. Laladere Reclaim Retrofit. So as we're doing that, it's under construction. Apologize for any kind of inconvenience on the trail. We've had that opened up for a little bit. In about a week and a half, you'll see a big difference there. We're going to start moving a lot faster on that. We're looping water lines. We're doing everything that's underground. So we dig it up, bury it, and then it looks like nothing has been done. So we're getting moving on that. The Central Park Amphitheater, it's been a long time coming to be able to get those plans actually completed. Like John had mentioned, we had another meeting today just for the actual final review of that. The last final little comments that are on there from engineering, building, everything like that, so we can actually go out to bid here in May. So that's what we're looking at. Our notice of intent to put out. It'll be out for about 45 days to see what we can come back at and who can build this. It's going to be a specialty build. It's not just some regular structure. So once we get that, we'll bring it to you guys and then to council for approval. We'll bring that to council and we'll see. It's going to take some time, just like the bridge, ordering parts, ordering wood, different things. It's not just something you can go buy from a lumber yard. So it's nice to have that. The parking lot resurfacing at ELP Peterson, we're working with Public Works. That's going for approval, I believe, May 17th. So as soon as that gets going, we'll be tearing that parking lot out and resurfacing that one. The Lyle Marsh Permanent Park Restroom. So it looks like it's completed. About a week and a half, and it'll be open to the public. There's just a few little things that we're trying to complete inside the restroom with solar and things like that the restroom has. So it's actually looks completed. It looks like it's always been there. I'm excited to get that open. It's always fun to watch that big crane come and carry this big cement building that's there. So yeah, it's good to finally have this one. It's been in the works for 3-4 years. We've wanted to get this restroom in this park, so it's nice to have it there. And that's all I have for capital improvement. If you have any questions, I'll go to the
Commissioners, any questions? All right, Maintenance Division Report, 9.7.
Okay, so we split up between the facilities and the parks because of our work order system. It's all at one, so we go through that. So we had over 300 work orders submitted, but 263 of those were just for the parks and right-of-ways. We completed 246, and then 6 of those were submitted through the city app that we put into our system through the residents for the month of April. 17 of those are pending, so we're waiting on parts, priorities to get those finished. As you can see, irrigation and landscape repair isn't quite as big yet. We just now started turning on the irrigation, turn it off again today, and it'll come back on in a day or two. You will see those increase tremendously come summertime. I guarantee about 45-50% of the work orders will be irrigation-wise. We've been doing a lot of little projects that are at the parks. That's what we have on this slide. So there's, as we've mentioned before, some of the vandalism, we're taking care of that just at Laladera Park, removing the broken walls, things like that. We're opening up the restroom, so it's we're able to make a positive out of what was the negative that was there. So we're also putting up at the pickleball court, we've removed some benches that were on the inside. We had some communication with a lot of the people playing there. They absolutely needed the benches that are there, but everybody was congregating. It was kind of unsafe for people if they were hit the benches that were in the court. So we moved the benches out, put up some pickleball holders there. We're just working with the community to do that. So at each of our pickleball courts, we'll be doing that. But I just wanted to highlight that a lot's going on at La Ladera, not just the retrofit, but we're trying to revitalize what that heavily used park. So that's all I have for the park maintenance update. If you guys have any questions.
Any questions? Commissioner Faust?
Yeah, we planted a lot of shrubs and trees at Menifee Better Together.
Correct.
How are they holding up? What's the anticipated life, or
So-
do we get maybe 75% will survive that
So
process?
far, we've had almost about 98% survive. There's a couple of them, and it's just from children or anybody planting. It happens when you transplant a plant. We're anticipating those to all survive. The reason we were having the plant palette we had there before, we had I've mentioned before, we've had a lot of the field rats. So that irrigation, the rats would love to chew up, and they're able to hide and make their tunnels through that rosemary. So that's why we removed a lot of that. So it's just, we're anticipating all that plant life to survive. So,
Great,
and it's doing great this week because of this extra rain.
that's great. One of the questions, kind of semi-related, the park on Audie Murphy Ranch Road, I think it's called River Park. Is it called River?
Creekview?
Is it called Creekview?
Yes.
Is that city?
That is, yes.
And there's no sign at all. Is that?
There's
something-
no marquee or anything for that
Yeah.
park. No, it wasn't called out when the developer was doing it. It's more of a passive park, a linear park. So we could always jot that down and look into putting a marquee there, but there is no marquee, you're correct.
Just something that says it is a city park. It seems to be well used. I
Maybe some signage or anything like
go
that.
there every day, and
We could look at that with our CIP item when we're redoing the signs.
very good. In fact, that was a good segue, because I had a question about just the signage standard, and where do we stand on that?
Yeah, we're, the city council had a few iterations. We have, the city has an architect firm that we're working with to try to look at updating, refreshing all the signs throughout the city. So I think we're getting close. It's very subjective on, what looks good and what reflects the city. So we're hoping that once that is finalized at the city council level, that we can incorporate that design into the signs that we're going to replace.
Awesome. And Chair, if I may, speak as another segue into signs, the city flag, has council just decided to put that on the back burner?
Yeah, to put it on pause and see if we can,
Do they just not like the results that were submitted?
they wanted to hold those results and then look at how this sign design comes out and see if, are they close, or do we need to maybe put it back out again?
Gotcha, okay. Thank you.
Any more comments? Thank you, Mr. Howell. Item 10, Commissioner reports on committee activities. Any commissioner reports?
I just recently did the teen voting for the Teen Awards. So I believe they sent me an email saying that they're going to acknowledge those youth in the next upcoming
Yes.
meeting.
Yes, they're at our May 17th, when we do our community services update, we will be acknowledging the spring awardees of the Teen Awards.
Which is always a cool experience because, you don't always have that one-on-one interaction to see like, oh my God, these kids are doing amazing things in the community and very resilient. So, yeah, if you guys ever have the opportunity to sit on that commission, I'd highly recommend it because it's refreshing to see that such young individuals in our community are thriving given circumstances, so.
And if I could add one more thing to that, since you mentioned it, the end of the year Teen Awards ceremony is going to be taking place on May 31st, which is a Wednesday. So if you are available, we'd like to invite our commissioners, especially the two who served on that committee, to be there that evening to participate in that.
Yeah, I attended that meeting as well. I agree with Commissioner Bowen, and I understand we're going to do a year award for one, what am I trying to say, one student?
Yes.
Student of the year, so we'll be voting on that as well, coming up soon.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Commissioner?
Commissioner Faust.
So I represent the commission on the MCAC, the Menifee Citizens Advisory Council or Committee, and last night's City Council approved the CDBG grants that the MCAC had recommended. That was great. We're supposed to have two representatives on the MCAC.
Yes.
Who's the second
I don't believe we have a second right now.
We just need to fill that assignment.
Yes.
Okay, and then speaking of assignments, is there any assignments or meetings that Commissioner Payne needed to attend that we need to fill in the interim until?
Yeah, we'll probably bring that back to the commission once we have a fifth commissioner again.
Okay, but there's nothing in the interim that that he would have to attend or?
I don't believe so.
Of his assignments?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, item 11, future agenda requests.
We realize that we caveated a lot of these things with the master plan. So what we'll do is once the master plan is finalized, we'll come back to the commission and provide updates on how these are either addressed in the master plan or if we have to provide some additional feedback. So that'll come within the next couple months.
Okay.
I guess I would just ask about the city holiday tree. It says evaluate in spring 2023. Last year, all the improvements and things that we did were awesome. And do we kind of look like we're just going to carry forward and repeat that this year?
Most likely, I don't know if anyone was able to view the city council budget workshop yesterday. The city budget is pretty solid, but there is not a lot of room for additional services and amenities. So that's what we were proposing for the next fiscal years to
At least
continue.
just to repeat to what we did.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Very good.
Okay. Any more comments? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting is adjourned at 7:21. Thank you all.
Thank you, staff.